and today is Thursday, September the 7th, 2023, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And yesterday we were out doing errands. We're trying to get things together to leave early Saturday morning to head to the beach, which I'm excited about. And we're meeting Michael's son, Michael J., and Jamie and Kaylee Jo are flying in Saturday night and joining us there for the week. So we get to spend a week with the newest granddaughter. And so we're excited about that. And we decided to play shows all week and just have the total time just concentrating on being with them and relaxing. And so we appreciate you. We've got several of some of what I consider the best shows. Tune in and listen to those. And I'm going to welcome Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Jeannie. Thank you, dear heart.
Welcome.
And welcome, everybody. Thanks for being with us. It's an honor to have you here. And so much to talk about, so many things going on. I've had a couple of days have been a bit of a challenge for me. I sprained my foot the other day. I was hobbling around on crutches, and that kind of consumed me for a little while. One of those things. And, of course, getting ready for travel time. Get a week with our new grandbaby. She's going to turn 1 year of age.
21. Yeah.
The last day that she's with us. It'll be a week from Saturday. And we've only had, let's see, sweetie, I think you've had, 2.5 weeks? That's been in. I got to do an extra couple of weeks.
Well,
so you didn't get
a little
to go.
more than that. We were there.
I guess we were there almost a month.
A month or so.
When we went,
after she was born, and then we went back up there for the wedding.
Right.
And then you went back up when CJ was transitioning.
Right. So it's going to be fun to see her.
We FaceTime with her about every other night, and Michael starts singing a song to her that he sings to Aria as well, and she grins every time he starts singing it.
I started singing to her, like we got there about a month after she was born. We were going to go for her birth, but Michael J. had a month off of work, so we decided it would be better for us to wait and show up when they'd need the help, so he had to go back to work. But I started singing to her right away. And it was a song I sang to Aria Rain since the time she was the smallest. When I got back, I explained to her that I had borrowed her song to sing with Kaylee Jo, and I said, I didn't really get your permission. I apologize for that. Is that okay? And she said, you don't need my permission. It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, so sweet. So awesome. Anyway, let's see what else is going on. The movie we watched a movie last night, which I thought was really very interesting. It's called Summertime? No, Summertown? Summertown. I wish I could find. Well, actually, have a look. It may be on YouTube, and I'm going to post it. It's really powerful. It's just a sweet story about people, and the world, the games people play are so judgmental of each other. It's just a really nice portrayal of two women who end up being lovers, and just who they were as people, and just a number of events that happened to just show here we are. We're all just people. And whose business is it? There's so much that everybody's got to jump in on everybody else's business, and everybody's got a judgment for somebody. Everybody's got a separation thought and a condemnation thought. And it's just like, it was just a beautiful portrayal of just human beings being human and not following somebody else's rules. But again, to me, the bottom line message was it was so powerful to just watch them as human beings. It's like, whose business is it? Unfortunately, those who would be the American Taliban are strongly working to take over people's, all sorts of things, including their bedrooms, which is really kind of interesting and pretty insane. I'll have to see if we can find a way we can get that on a Facebook post without people having to pay for it. See where they'll find it. Anyway, if you get a chance to see it, make the space to see it. It's just a sweet story about some of the challenges people face and what they go through, and without giving away there's some really interesting, shocking twists in it. But just who we are as human beings, and if we could just, start to embrace each other in that regard, it would be quite powerful. If we could just be humans with each other. Anybody, Miss Jeannie? Do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No, but I did get an email from Roma, and she wrote this last night. Or no. Well, I got it at 1:40 this morning, so I'm not sure when she wrote it.
Right.
But she said, "Dear friends, it was an amazing sunset tonight. At 7 p.m., brilliant, like a fire in the sky, to my west where Lahaina was. Then at 7:11, another stage of the fire after the ensuing 10 minutes when it had calmed down. Of course, one could only be reminded of a recent tragedy. The grief, for I wonder for how long, perhaps quite some time. No words, only silence." And she sent another one after that says, "Dear team, I can feel your love and support. Thank you. I had a dream last night of resurrecting what is of value and useful from the utter chaos of destruction. New life coming back. There was a photo yesterday of some small leaves growing out of a joint on the banyan tree in Lahaina, the landmark's heart. Such a beautiful sight, one of hope, resurrection, and celebration. Aloha, Roma."
I assume the banyan tree survived.
Well, I think it must have gotten kind of messed up, but she's saying that there were some small new joints. Yeah, new joints coming out of it. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember that tree is huge. I mean, it just covers, I don't even know how big an area. It's monumental. The road to Lahaina. Holding Maui and holding the, especially the native peoples who have been struggling since a group of thieves from America called businessmen. Their name is very well known, especially at one particular pineapple company who used the threat of the U.S. military to depose the Queen of Hawaii, who was recognized all around the world, and just went and took over. I mean, literally stole the country. Absolute, total, complete, straight up, documented in our lifetimes theft of a country. And the beginning of the destruction of a people. And the story is unfolding and continuing there since the fires, because many people who have struggled to keep their property, because of course when people come in, people have money, want services. When they want services, they demand the local government give them services, and the local government has to charge for the services. And so it gets to the point where the people who were indigenous there, as in the whole of America, literally the whole country, they can't afford or they're not allowed to live on their land. And now some of the old-time peoples who were able to do that but were devastated in the fire, I understand they're being harangued by what, if you look in the ancient scriptures, you hear being the great men of the earth. Those who got good at the money game have accumulated large quantities of absolutely, totally, completely worthless paper, but it's called money, and because people believe that it's money, which it's not, take a look at one of those things and it says on it that it's a Federal Reserve note. It doesn't say anything about money. It has no value whatsoever. But there are people who have accumulated large quantities of that. If you go back to the Founding Fathers, you'll find that the Founding Fathers said that money would be gold and silver whose price was set by the Congress of the United States. That's the only thing. That's the definition of money in America. But guess what? Gold and silver isn't set by the Congress of the United States of America. Shortly after that happened, guess who took over the setting of the price of gold and silver and where it still sits today? It's right in the boardrooms in England. We're right back with the king. And so because these fake Fed Reserve notes worth nothing, people talk about inflation. Oh, our prices have gone up so much. Guess what? If in 1900 you had an ounce of gold, it was worth, I think, maybe around $13 or $19, something like that. Guess what you could buy with that? You could go into, let's say a guy could go into a men's shop and buy a very nice suit for that. Guess what an ounce of gold is today? It's about, I'm not sure, 1900 Federal Reserve notes. They call them dollars. They're not dollars. A dollar is 532 grains of silver. I might be off on that number. That's what a dollar is. They're not dollars. It's been called that. It's a lie. Federal Reserve notes. But you know, if you go into a fine men's shop and want to buy a suit today, you know what it costs? About the same as an ounce of gold, about $1,900. There's been no inflation. It's all a lie. This is another aspect of the work that we get into more in things like laws of living. It's not usually part of the conversation here, but it seems appropriate in the setting of what's going on in Hawaii right now. Because these great men of the earth who become the custodians of giant quantities of this paper, and actually it isn't even Federal Reserve notes paper anymore, it's just digits in a computer, but have conned everybody else into the fact that they control those, they own those, they should be theirs, are going in and contacting these people who are desperate, who are suffering, who are in such grief and loss and pain, and they're now haranguing them and saying, oh, I have some Federal Reserve notes. I'd like to buy your land. It's interesting. I remember when we first went to Hawaii, we spent several weeks in Hawaii back, 25 years ago. And we connected with some of the local Hawaiians, and one of the sayings they have there is that when the missionaries came to Hawaii, they came to do good, but they did well. And what the natives say is when the missionaries came, the missionaries had Bibles, and we had land. And now we have the Bibles, and the missionaries have the land. It's a tragic insanity. And it's happened to indigenous peoples all over the world. There was, and I believe it, my understanding is it is factual, and I don't remember the name of the Native American chief who did this, but he was a leader of one of, I don't even want to guess, I don't remember which one of the larger Native American tribes. And he was probably in his 80s. And this was back when they were doing the moonshot, and they asked him if he wanted to send a message, and so he did. in, I believe it was in the Lakota language, and I may be mistaken on that. But he sent it, and then when they finally got somebody to translate, he wouldn't translate it. The message was basically, be careful if you have land. These men who've just landed here will take your land. Basically, that was the message. I know we've watched it. I've traveled, over the last 40 years or so. And we used to go to South Florida and go to Key West. And the people that I know that used to live in Key West can't afford to live in Key West anymore because a great many of the earth have gone in and bought everything with their Federal Reserve notes, and it is so outrageously expensive that the person who serves them in the restaurant or serves them in, takes care, whatever, the service people, they can't afford to live there. They got to drive 2, 3, 4, 5 islands up in order to get land cheap enough to afford, because those with the skill of conning others that Federal Reserve notes are money and worth something are buying everything. In any event, this is apparently, I've been doing some research and reading about it, that there was something that's happening in Lahaina right now with the natives there, the Hawaiians. When I say harangue, they've got, it's like, we all know what the high pressure sales calls are like, right? And these people are in such distraught conditions, desperate in many cases. Somebody with a pocket full of Federal Reserve, oh, well, hey, I'll give you enough money to get, yeah, well, you owe money, well, we'll take care of that, and then and you'll have some worthless paper, and we'll have your land. We start waking up and start to function out of actuality rather than these fantastical realities that are made up by men, like ideas like money. Native Americans had no concept of ownership of land. They moved, they were nomadic. The land they were on was their land, but it wasn't something they owned, it was their land. The Europeans came and introduced this idea and so-called laws, rules, and regulations about owning land. They had no concept of it. So this white man would say, hey, look, see, I've got some nice shiny beads. I'll buy your land from you. Sign this piece of paper. Like, this crazy guy wants to give me deeds for this land. Yes, it's my land, but there was no concept of ownership. They didn't own the land. They were inhabitants of the earth. And then they found the next year when they came back, they couldn't go on their land because they didn't own it anymore. Somebody had introduced a set of scams about how now they could put a fence around it because they owned the land that they gave the beads for. And the Native Americans' minds didn't have brain cells to even conceive of what they meant, like, you're buying my land and it's going to be yours. And I won't be able to come back and hunt and fish and set up my community on it when it's time for us to come back here, like we have done for who knows how many thousands of years. Whew, so much to be addressed. So joining you, Roma, and holding a space for the native peoples of Hawaii, for everyone. I mean, the people who settled there, not their fault, people who now, quote unquote, own land, ancestors, all that stuff. They don't have a clue what's going on. But, excuse me, Jeannie, go ahead.
I was just saying that we have a call. We had a hand up.
Sweet. Let's say hello to our caller.
Area code 541. Is this Celinda?
Yes, it is. How'd you guess?
Welcome, young lady. How are you?
I'm good. your conversation.
Awesome. What's on your mind today?
Well, your conversation about Native Americans and indigenous people. Since I lived on Oahu for 2 years and Kauai for 13 years,
right.
I really resonate to all this, and my heart goes out. And I saw some YouTube videos that some of the Hawaiians said they were being evicted from Lahaina by the state. And I don't know if that's totally true or not, or what's going on. They, of course, have been harassed by these. Pardon?
The equivalent. I mean, they've done the games that are being played over water rights, which, there were certain native water rights that were the law even in the state of Hawaii, but now that the governors determined, I don't understand all the ins and outs, I haven't spent enough time understanding it, but as I understand, the governor declaring an emergency because of this, all of a sudden now they can start sealing the native water rights again. And it's just... It's that mindset.
Right. Well, this happens.
It's the same mindset. It's one other thought before you move on. It's the same mindset that has us living in a world where, pretty much anywhere in the country today, it's the same game that's being played everywhere, and it's being played on, John Q. Average in America too today, where, they live in places where their overlords run their lives and they vote for them. And, just say, for instance, for a family with 2 children to have a 2-bedroom apartment costs at least $1,200 to $1,500 a month. And there are 2 of those states with the mindset that we're talking about here that steals from people, that just rips and destroys and all of that. 2 of the states where that is going on, where that rental rate is happening, their minimum wage is $5.25 an hour. And there are 14 other states in the same boat where the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And when the mindset in America, the American government, the people who live in generosity and fairness, what the scriptures call just and fair behavior, have tried, like just in the last couple of years, have tried to mandate a minimum wage of $15 an hour so that a family could at least afford to have an apartment. And it's been blocked by the same 2 people, or pardon me, by the same people. It's been blocked in the Congress by the same group of people who have the $5.25 to $7.25 an hour minimum wage in at least 16 different states. It's the same game. It's a mindset that, it's the mindset that's the opposite of when they said to Yeshua, what's most important in the law? And he didn't tell them, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. He said, you've got to have Rockme, you've got to have a mindset. You've got to have a filter set in your mind so that your mind is set for love, your mind is set for just and fair behavior. And, there's no such concept in the English language. There's no such concept in the languages that transmitted those teachings from the Aramaic to us here in Latin and Greek. There's just no such idea for this, and so this mindset just is so sadly prevalent in so many places. Definitely time for a wake-up on planet Earth.
Yes, and that is all classes of people have been inoculated with it. So it's not a victim game, it's an ignorance game. And like
absolutely.
I was ignorant before I stumbled upon the Aramaic gospel. I was ignorant before I was loaned your video in 1992. which allowed me to hold the seeds until I had the thought, well, when I ran across your book, I had the thought, well, eventually I'll get your book when it comes on secondhand. And then when I did in December of 2020, when I got your book, what is that? It's almost 4 years now. No, actually December of 2019. It's been 4 years now. And I feel like I've been shot out of a rocket ever since, learning with building brain cells. And that's what you just said. We all have to build brain cells.
Yep. Somebody said, for where once I was blind, now I see. Actually, I like to change that quote because that's a powerful one, but there's a notch higher, and that is, for where once I was sighted, now I see. It's not blindness that's the problem, it's sight. It's that we think with our eyes we're seeing what's happening out there, and we call the images that our brain generates out of the content that it holds, that has been brainwashed. We call those images, those pictures that are painted on the inside of our eyeballs, sight. And it's not seeing, and that's where the scriptures talk about, where for a lack of vision my people perish. Sight has replaced vision, so it's really not where once I was blind, now I see. It's where once I was sighted, now now I see.
Yeah. I wanted to share with you what happened on Kauai about 10 years ago or so, when the whole island was in a foment, because on the west side, some big GMO company, I think from Switzerland, I'm not sure where.
Yep, I remember that.
The west side on Keikaha. And what blew my mind away is when I found out for 10 years, while that all was transpiring, the state of Hawaii stopped keeping health records on the west side of the county.
Mm-hmm. That's when they were trying to take over and GMO the poi and we were there. We were in Hawaii at that time, and we actually went to some events,
good
educational events and such about how they were trying to move in. Monsanto and such were trying to move in and take over. I forget what all the crops were, but we were actually there and attended some of that, participated in some of that.
Well, they'd already been there too. They'd already been there for for quite a while.
Long
they kind
time.
of sneaked in, and it was only when the health of the West Side's residents just tanked, and there was all these cancers and all of these childhood disorders and stuff like that. That I haven't heard anything since. It's sort of like. In Fallon, New Mexico, and Fallon, Nevada. The same thing there, too.
The great men of the earth.
Yeah.
That's what the scriptures talk about.
Oh, do you remember?
Right now, we're in a time in this country where the great men of the earth are attempting to do a whole other level of takeover of America and turn it into another fascist state. That's, basically what's going on right now.
Okay, I'd like to continue on a little vein here. Do you remember Joe Domingo's book on Your Money or Your Life, where he redefined money as being your life energy? That what people don't realize.
I don't remember. I don't remember that book, but
it was a real eye opener for me. And he talked about the indigenous cultures, and they had barter, and they were very aware that their barter was their life energy in exchange for another. Before the indigenous people started really organizing into governmental institutions, certain of them.
Yep.
And And that was that's when I said, I'm out of gold and silver. Why am I playing this world's game? It's sort of like it's an extension of the beads, the shiny beads that were given to the Indians. It's the same thing. Yep. And so, and I remember reading the Old Testament saying, I'll just finish this up real quick, the Old Testament saying that you shall live by the labor of your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And that's all it said.
Yep. Not by interest. When we give something when we give something that creates no increase in value, an increase in value, that by definition is an inflation. I can remember when I was a kid, I actually owned a couple of homes. One of the first things I did is I started to buy and renovate homes. I had a couple of different homes. And the first house that I bought, I paid about $13,000 for. And, it was probably built for when it was built, because it was an older brick home at that time. I don't know, it was maybe 40 years old at that time. So it was probably built for about $2,000 when it was originally built. I paid $13,000 for it. My brother told me that a home in that neighborhood, I don't know the exact same home, but similar homes, sold for $500,000.
Right.
Now there's a structure that has had no wealth attached to its increase in value whatsoever, and yet somebody from $2,000, and I didn't understand back then when I paid $13,000. I think I sold it for $20,000. I did quite a bit of work on it, and so I did increase its value somewhat. And I sold it for $20,000, and now it's going for $500,000. And so when you think about that, where does that $480,000 come from? Because there's no increase in value, there's no increase in wealth. It's still the same brick and mortar. That's got to come out of somebody's pocket, and that's called inflation. When you go back to the scriptures, again, we're talking laws of living stuff now. It says, the earth is mine. You cannot buy and sell it. And they did allow for the exchange of property inside of city walls, but otherwise it wasn't something that a developer could go in and, I've got the Federal Reserve note, so I can buy this piece of land out from the peasant. They're just peasants anyway that think they own it, and I'll turn it into a multi-million-dollar profit scam. We need to get back to understanding how the actuality of the world works. And in Aramaic, the word law does not mean the rule of a superior, as, the kings today would like us to believe it's the rule of a superior. The word law in Aramaic just means the way things work. And when they were talking about you earn your labor, your life force, your wealth by the work of your hands, that you're creating an increase in value. But if you get your hands on something that creates an increase in wealth without creating an increase in value, that by definition is now theft. And there's a whole mindset that needs to shift and change to get us back to actually functioning as human beings.
I can understand why the early Christians, they weren't Christians, the early believers refused to vote once that Rome took on Christianity. Well, they never did before, but when Rome took on Christianity, and then
I don't believe Rome ever took on. I don't believe Rome ever took on Christianity. Rome took on churchianity.
Right. Well,
Christianity rarely entered a mind in Rome.
Right. It was the way, if you like, because I don't think Christianity is actually the way of Yeshua anyway, but that's okay, because there again, the church rule.
Well, that's why I'm distinguishing between churchianity and Christianity.
Yeah, right.
If it were Christianity, it would be working according to the laws, the way it works within the actuality. and the original thought structures of the man in Aramaic, it wouldn't be, Yeshua sat in most church buildings today, and he'd say, that's all Greek to me.
Right, yeah, it's just different language and meanings we give for different words, so that I'm right on the same page with you. Yeah, and I'm being paged, so I will share the rest with you later. Thank you so much.
Okay, young lady. You have a blessed one. Tell Larry we said hello and send our love. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, Miss Jeannie?
It is all quiet out here. Somebody press one.
That conversation kind of went a little different direction than we normally go, so I wonder if that's aroused any thoughts for anybody, any conversation, any thoughts regarding where Celinda and I just wandered off to.
We have another hand up.
Great, let's go for it.
Please, Miss Susan, 610, you're on the air.
Hi. Okay, guys, going back, Michael, what did you do to your ankle?
Oh, it wasn't my ankle. When I've always had foot and ankle problems, and I've sprained both of my ankles. Can't even count how many times in my life, but actually my ankles, the last time I sprained them was in 1976. I sprained an ankle. I was in Montreal, and I remember that very clearly because you'll get a laugh out of this one. I was actually in the music business in Nashville, Tennessee. I had a partnership in a music studio in Nashville. I was doing this work part-time at that point, and we had an Olympic song, and in 1976 was the 23rd Olympiad in Montreal, and I was the designated representative to take. We had a young Canadian artist who was 14, just an awesome voice, and he had a really awesome song that he'd written for the Olympics. And so it was my job to go up and represent that song at the Olympics. And that was back in the day, 76, when platform shoes were in, if you remember. And
I do.
I had a pair of platform shoes on. I think about that now. It's like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. But I did. And I was going across the street, and the car came racing, so I kind of had to, race myself across the street, and I fell off the platform shoes. My left ankle, which is the foot that I just entered, but it was my ankle, I twisted it far enough that from the platform shoes, the outside of my ankle scraped on the road. And there was a park bench there. Now, I probably up until that time I had sprained each ankle at least 20 times and had at least 15 different times had a nail in my foot. I used to love to go to construction sites as a kid. In any event, I scraped my ankle, and I had been involved in this work at that point. I'd been in the study of healing, and there was a park bench on the other side of the road. I went over and I sat down, and I just tuned out of, I'm on a busy street in Montreal, I just tuned totally and completely out of the environment externally, went inside and went into my ankle and healed it. And I don't know how long I was there, but whatever time it was 2 minutes or maybe it was 2 hours, I don't know. But I got up off the park bench on my platform shoes and walked away with no ill effect to my ankle. That's the last time I sprained an ankle. However, I have been working on the last few months. I've got a chiropractor here. I've been working on, there's a stuck point in my left foot where I believe it was from a nail when I was maybe 5 or 6 and got a nail. I can remember it actually came up through the top of my foot, from the bottom through the top of my foot. The tip of the nail I could see. So there's always been, ever since I've done body work and such, massage, and there's always been this muscle structure in that foot that I could not open. I could not relax. I could not let go. It was always locked up. So I've been working on that now for a couple of months, and there's a new chiropractor I've been working with, and there's a device they call an activator, and she's been really putting that activator into that spot and working on it. And on, let's see, what day was it? I don't even know what day it was. But anyway, I went and had an adjustment she worked on. I came up and I had some, before we went on vacation, I wanted to finish off an area we're setting up as a new compost area. So I had taken some wood chips and put up there and some leaves and such, and I was spreading them. And I stepped up on the side of the hill and I sprained not my ankle, but my foot.
Ow.
Right down the center, right on that spot. So I believe it was the perfect adjustment that I needed. It was exactly, the adjustment that my foot needed. It's like, okay, this is the next level. But I hobbled on crutches for a couple of days, and it actually kind of laid me down a little bit. It was pretty intense. So,
how is it now?
So that's what I did to my foot. Much better. I'm walking. I went and did some work in the garden this morning, and I'm walking gingerly, but I'm walking. We've got some things we need to get done before we leave here Saturday morning. Life is busy right now.
And you think it has corrected what had happened with the nail?
I believe that's probably. I won't really know, I don't think, until it's totally finished, and it's not. But that area that I have, I've literally worked on it for 40 years trying to get that muscle group to let go, but it's something I could never find and never do. And it feels like I have now, but again, because the healing isn't complete yet, I'm not 100% sure. But it feels like I've got it. It opened it. It was, I think, the final step in opening it. So it was one of those divine accidents.
You make good use of bad things.
I've had 4 or 5 of those that I would have called accidents that now I know better. They're really not.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, talking about what you and Celinda were talking about, the injustices and the greed and all this stuff, my grandson Jacob has a tendency to rant about things. And you can relate to that because you do your own version of it. His is more intense. And
what? Rant? What?
Right, Michael. So I've spent a lot of time on the phone with him lately, but he gets into these tracks where he's unstoppable, and he's extremely bright, so he knows much more than I do about what people are doing and what's going on, and it's such a mess that he can't stop. And I've gotten to the point where I say, Mr. Boone, I want to spend time with you, not your rant. I don't disagree with anything you say. In fact, I agree with what you're saying, and I don't know what to say. You're preaching to the choir, though, and so stop the rant and tell me some other things. And he will. He's gotten very good about saying, oh, sorry. He'll say, oh, sorry. I know.
Catching himself.
But I just wanted, it's very cute. But he is an incredibly, it was his birthday yesterday, 23. We had a Zoom call.
Cool.
My daughter, Tim Bingham, me, and Jacob. And I thought, well, he's so fidgety, it'll be 10 minutes. Well, it was an hour. But I watched him, as you can do on Zoom. It's almost like spying, because you can pin a page and see only that person and see what they're doing. And thank goodness I really didn't do that with him. I was tempted. But he was pinching his forehead and combing his hair with his fingers and couldn't leave his face and head, which was the part that was visible, couldn't stop doing that all the time we were talking. And yet he was talking very openly about things and very appreciative that we called and telling this and that and telling about a girlfriend. And he showed us, he videoed his room. He showed us around his room, which is another thing that he says is part of autism. He says he's on the spectrum, and I think he may be right. He cannot
And I used to think he could, but he won't. Now I think he really is telling the truth, that he cannot clean his apartment. And it is a wreck. It is just, he says, well, the thing is, I know where everything is. Like, I know that my blue striped shirt is over in that corner, and if I need to wear it, I'll go get it off the floor. And he says, I really would like to clean my room, and I've had, when his dad visited him before his dad moved all the way to Colombia. He's now gone to Colombia. He said, my dad...
Colombia, South America?
Yeah, he's moved there.
Oh.
With a new wife who does not speak English, and I can make a bad joke about that. She's lovely, but she doesn't know what he's saying to him. And when she finally learns, she might not last very long, but she is totally lovely, and she cleaned the whole apartment for Jake, and he appreciated it so much, and he said, I'm going to keep it neat. But he says he just can't. And I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it's part of this whole personality thing, and he can't. I'm afraid the situation in the world adds to a level of angst for him that he's not going to let go of. It's just the way things are. And I know you can relate to that.
He sees the world differently. Yeah, that's one of the things about autism or being on the spectrum is they see the world differently.
Is there anything I could do to get in line with that and, I don't know, just know how to talk to him better?
Well, one thought I have is next time he comes to visit and he's going to spend any time there, or if you're going to go out and spend any time with him, get his hand in the avocen and apply some heat. Heat changes the spectrum, the dynamic of being on the spectrum. We had a conversation about that last week. I've been doing some research in different areas and working to comprehend on a different level that whole process.
Wow, that's a good thought. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't need to take the whole radio show time. I just wanted to ask you about your foot, and please keep us updated. And I hope it's not going to be difficult to travel with it.
No, it's on the. I'm about the probably the 85 percentile of healed. Jeannie had told me when I did this, last week. It's like, we're getting ready to go on vacation, and it seems like, and it's an issue I've been looking at. It seems like right around when it's time for us to travel, and we went through the fact that the last 3 times that I've been to my son's, I've been on crutches. It's like, well, this happened the week before, and I'm about 85% through it, so I'm going to be clean for next week. But that we have noticed that's tied in. That's been a pattern. That when we've been on the road, we did it once. A couple of years ago, we were going on a week. We had a timeshare with Jeannie's dad, and we were going a week with him. And I ended up on crutches for the week, and so that so it's been it's one of those issues. My work has been around.
Yeah, I was going to make a wisecrack, but I won't.
Go ahead, go for it. What the heck? I can take it.
No, well, I was just going to be, where are the tools? All of the above.
Yeah, that's it. Every one of them. I've been doing them all. I've actually, as I said, this was intense enough that it laid me down pretty good for a couple of days, and my focus has been on. And in fact, one of the gifts that it's given me is another level. Something I was planning to share on the show. Another level of spending time becoming acquainted and building relationship with the active presence of love and directing that energy. Spent a lot of time directing that energy into my foot this week. And actually, it's interesting, as I just said that, some pulses just went, and I've been practicing doing that more and more. And just as I said those words, the pulse went right through my foot. I could just feel the muscles popping in my foot. But just it's brought home to me on another level the importance of us spending time cultivating that relationship with active present love and being able to direct it and bring its healing power into physiology and into the world.
So when you were on the crutches and laid up, I don't know if I can ask this because you're the facilitator and I'm the client.
Go for it.
How did you feel?
Please do. I'm open.
Feel? I just wanted to know how you were feeling. And were you depressed? See, I get disgusted and depressed when I'm immobilized because I'm used to moving around a lot, and you are too. So, anyway.
No, I don't. Actually, what it did was it turned me inward on another level. That's what I just shared, that it gave me that gift on another level of the importance of being in touch with that presence of love and to direct it, which I spend a lot of time doing, where normally I'd be doing other things, and I left a lot of things alone and went into that on another level.
And Jeannie took up the slack, I bet.
Well, Jeannie's always doing her share and then some. I mean, the most common thing with Jeannie is I have to say, stop, come, lay down, put your hand in the avicen, stop, go get in a hot bath, or I'll run the water for her, or, it's like, stop, Jeannie, stop. So she's always doing her share and then some. And thank you, sweetie, when you do. And thank you even deeper when you take care of yourself, sweetie.
Thank you. And we do have another caller.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Susan. We appreciate you.
Thanks. Appreciate you too, Michael. All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello, Joe. 864. You're on the air.
Joe Bryson. Here's a man who is outstanding. Everybody who doesn't know Joe Bryson, let me announce him. He is a man who is outstanding in his field. And if you don't believe that, I have a picture on my phone of him outstanding in a field, and I'll send it to you if you want to see it. So this is Joe Bryson. Hey, young man, how are you?
Oh, are you kidding me? I just, it's been too long. I mean, I love, we've really got to that understanding of introducing me. I love my guest appearances.
Was that a good enough introduction? Are you happy with that?
Oh, well, happy's not right. I mean, happy's, yes and no.
Does it support you living in joy? Yes. Have I achieved your goal for you?
Welcome.
For me? The goal you have for me, for you, for me? Whoever it is, however that works.
Amen. Yeah.
Okay.
I just, I absolutely marvel at the fact, for me, that I don't know how to explain when something takes me out of the flow of love. Whatever it may be, I don't really have any, and I don't want any kind of disguise to disguise that. I don't know that I do, but it's just I find it interesting to be shown one side of the coin, shall we say, to explain what I'm saying here, is that pain, or the idea of pain, that I'm not in the flow of conscious, active loving, but as long as I wait and I'm patient, I think it's just unbelievable how just get quiet and be patient, because it's going to come around, and I feel so much better,
This too will
relative
pass, right?
to. Yeah. That's another way to put it. This too shall pass. Yes. Yeah. So it's this relationship stuff whereby something gets said about something, and the way I hear it is this way, and it's oh, that hurts, or that, oh, the pain of that. Oh. And I find myself, what's exciting is to say, okay, whoa, you're never upset for the reason you think. So be with this. Be
right.
with this, and be quiet, and just,
hold the space.
Yeah, hold the space. Wait for.
Or maybe more properly,
like
be the space.
Right. Yeah, being is really seems to be the one coming up, is saying, okay, what's this all about? What's just being love, being, or not even necessarily to be love. It's just breathe into whatever's coming up and
maintain your human life.
Yeah, maintain my human life
in the presence of all the craziness.
Plus the codependency, the notion that without you, I'm not going to be okay. I think that is another area where I've got some issues to work on and I just don't. My self-talk sometimes, I just marvel at it. Certainly I'm happy to say that I can self-regulate and see and feel and hear and witness and hold a space of that nasty self-talk, but it seems to be
catching your regulatory speech.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a regulatory, to regulate one's own. Someone may say, what is it you don't like about me? Well, you could say something, but regulating my speech and say, well, I'm not going to say something. I'm not going to say this because I think that this person's reaction to it will be unhappy, or I'm going to stir unhappiness for them. So I guess there's a question, and that is, okay, what is it to do? What can I do to someone says, okay, well, tell me about what is it you don't like about me? Well, I'm not going to be honest. I'm not going to be. I don't know if the right word is to say brutally. On the one hand, to be in my truth, to be in my being, I should say what I think. Right?
So how about a mind shifter?
Okay.
Got a pen and paper?
No, I'm driving.
Okay. Well, let me just give me a second here.
I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Ooh. How lucky are we, Michael? I mean, she's right there. Amazing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's safe and healing. And people have always deeply appreciated me.
People have always
acknowledged me. And acknowledged me for saying and for speaking exactly what's on my mind. What's your mind say to that one?
Well, regulation of to regulate what I'm about to say, or if it is something that I think is going to possibly irritate the other person, or again, and I'm guessing, it's completely my guess as to how they're going to react to something, but on the other hand, the honest truth typically leads to some refreshing, this too shall pass kind of healing of.
Then we'll add to that mind shifter, because the truth is always safe and healing.
It's okay. And just be with it. Be with the upset. Because
so that's what'll go on the right side of the page when you start writing the Mind Shifter.
Oh, right. Good one.
Good breath. There you go. That's the kind that heals. And the show's going to cut us off any second, but we'll continue talking till it does.
Okay. Yeah, what happened? You guys got cut off yesterday in somewhere in the 40s. I don't know, what is it, 145 or so? I don't know, or 140 something. But the show, what time does the show goes to 2?
2 o'clock. That's it.
Yeah.
Unless I'm out of things to say and there's nobody that's interested in asking questions, then we might finish it a little early. That happens,
was
but not very often. Yesterday should have been a full hour pre-recorded.
It wasn't.
Well, was it a shorter show yesterday, Jeannie?
I'd have to go back and look. I'll check.
Oh. Okay.
No. There's
cool.
Doesn't need to check. I just feel like I find myself with my speech and not so much verbal speech, but my interior dialogue with myself, or just the ego, is just, man.
Work to be done. How cool is that?
Yeah.
All right, sir. Delighted you're on the path with us.
Yeah. Thanks. Talk to you.
It's a good thing. All right. Yeah. Take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.